Welcome back to Invest Global. I was recently in the Czech Republic and wanted to make this video just to explain some of the investment opportunities as well as residency opportunities that you have in this interesting country. Just for a little bit of an overview, I spent a decent amount of time in Prague and then headed to the second largest city here in Brno. I think that's how you pronounce it. But just as far as real estate goes, I think in Prague we got massively overvalued. The prices just really ran up. Beautiful city to live in, maybe to rent in, but not necessarily to own property in, just because of the insanely high prices that you have in the capital cities. But this could be an interesting second option if you're looking at potentially purchasing real estate in a city. Obviously, I could do a second video on this, but I just wanted to share my thoughts a little bit on that. As far as residency goes in the Czech Republic, basically what you have is a situation where you can acquire a residence permit, so a temporary residence permit, relatively easily, right? So I would say the number one way that I would personally go about doing it, if you're interested in staying in the Czech Republic for a long time, which can potentially lead to citizenship after 5 years if you're committed to just staying still in the Czech Republic and not moving around, is setting up a business. So basically with this, you have to prove that you have a stable income, right? So I would say having around like 10 to 15,000 in the bank is one of these things that they would like to see, kind of check it off the list, along with this healthcare and some insurance things you have to have covered as well. But relatively easy. Again, this is just a basic overview of residence permits. If you want to see another video on this, I'd be happy to make it. And then again, just to reiterate, with citizenship, if you have the permanent residence, you acquire this. Essentially, you can acquire citizenship in 5 years. Like I said, if you're just pretty much sitting in the Czech Republic, you can prove that you've been here for that period of time, or 10 years. It can take a long time, but in this case, if you can acquire the citizenship, it can be an interesting second passport. You have the Schengen zone and a lot of other countries. Pretty nice ease of access. Taxes are not too terrible. It's around 15% flat tax all around the Czech Republic. And beyond that, you have VAT tax. Not that bad. You have some social programs that kind of dissuade a lot of people from moving there, but overall there is some benefits in general. So if you're looking at the macro indicators when it comes to Czech Republic, you'd want to look at things like here. By the way, I'm in Slovenia right now while recording this at this beautiful outlook onto Lake Bled. Just absolutely incredible. But let me see. Let's see. If we go to Czech Republic. Here we go. Okay, so we're looking at just some macro indicators as far as just an overview of investing in the country. You're looking at a GDP of around $250 billion, so $243 billion, around 10.7 million population. We're looking at GDP per capita, actually quite high when you're looking at Eastern Europe, of 22,843. Extremely low interest rates, which is good to see always, and very low inflation. You have negative 2% of GDP when you're looking at what is that again? When you're looking at government budget, and unemployment rate's actually not that bad. You see a lot of these other countries, especially during the coronavirus pandemic, the unemployment rate has skyrocketed, but they've done actually very well with unemployment rates, keeping them very low, which is always important. Again, in my personal opinion, there are some equities in the Czech Republic that are interesting, but I'd much rather prefer Poland over the Czech Republic, to be quite honest, especially if you're looking at property. It can be, like I said, incredibly overvalued in Prague, specifically the capital city. But, you still have some of these cost of living things where the food hasn't necessarily caught up with this. So you can potentially live in the Czech Republic relatively easily and have all these benefits and not necessarily have to, have all these social programs you have to pay for and other things. Like I said, I actually met with two guys that were from Brno in Czech Republic, and they were looking to move out of there, which shout out to them. Interesting guys. So that's basically all for this video. I just wanted to do a quick little overview. I'm curious what you guys think of Czech Republic. Beyond that, I was looking at some of these sovereign credit ratings, which I made a video on. I always like to analyze these. And Czech Republic's actually doing very well. So not necessarily a diamond in the rough situation at all. It's much more of a developed economy. So if you're looking at specifically here, where are we at? Czech Republic. Here we go. So A3. So these are all great ratings, right? So especially with S&P, Moody's rates them very highly, Fitch very highly. So if you're curious on understanding sovereign credit ratings a little bit more, I have a video on that. So as always, Invest Global. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Join the Telegram group, link down below in the description. Twitter, Instagram at InvestGlobal_IO. Invest Global. And until next time.